nuclear to drop the bomb that for a long time she has resisted.
Harry and Meghan are incredibly nervous about the possibility of a tell-all memoir from Sarah Ferguson.
And here is Meghan Markle posting on her Instagram, oh, going to the island. That's Little St. James. And by the way, this plane, PJWIT, was flying to Little St. James, especially on that date that she posted this story.
This didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Something big is quietly building behind the scenes. Radar Online claims multiple publishers are already circling Ferguson, pushing hard for a full tell-all deal. One insider even said she could land a contract that locks in serious long-term money, the kind that changes everything fast. Now here's where it gets tense. The Sussexes, the same duo who reportedly bagged around $20 million from that explosive memoir, Spare, are said to be getting uneasy. Why? Because if someone who was actually there starts talking, those private moments and behind-the-scenes conversations could hit very differently when told from another angle. Tom Sykes from the Daily Beast didn't sugarcoat it either.
He knows the way for the big payday is a Prince Harry-style autobiography. A $20 million advance, like Harry received as what she...
He reported that palace insiders are quietly stressing over what he called a pulling a Harry scenario. And that phrase alone says a lot. Big money on the table, but zero control from the royal side once the story is out.
Who are most terrified about this are Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, because it is Fergie, of course, who could reveal all about what really went on with this couple and the British royal family and Andrew behind the scene.
But here's the part most people are missing. Just because some US publishers passed doesn't mean the door is closed. Not even close. The UK market, Australia, even streaming platforms or a major TV sit-down, all of that is still wide open and very much in play. An insider speaking to OK magazine said Ferguson has been watching closely, almost studying the exact blueprint Harry and Meghan used. First the big interview, then streaming content, and finally the headline-dominating book deal. It's not random. It's a calculated path that clearly worked.
Memoir, or a memoir of that scale, would of course revisit some of the most controversial moments in royal history, including the fallout from...
According to that same source, she sees it as a proven system, a way to hit back while also securing serious financial stability for the long run. And now, she's reportedly thinking about following that exact same three-step plan. The insider added she's seriously considering going all in, completely stepping outside the royal circle and doing things her own way. And if that actually happens, it could shake things up in a major way, because the driving force behind all this is simple. She needs the money, and she knows exactly how to get it.
She needs the cash. She thinks it's already too late for her daughters because William is slowly marginalizing.
Now here's the connection almost nobody talks about. Meghan Markle and Princess Eugenie.
The press is completely ignoring this. The press does not want to touch the fact that Meghan was called as a witness by Virginia Roberts, who said that she was a close associate of Prince Andrew. And of course, it's not in anybody's best interest to have Meghan Markle testify, because they know that she knows a lot. And this is why this woman is flaunting her impunity around, or feels on.
Once you really look at their relationship, it starts to make sense why Meghan could end up more exposed than anyone if private stories start leaking out.
Meghan utilized Beatrice and Eugenie to get closer to Prince Harry, and I think that that's an element of the story that Harry and Meghan leave out.
Most people only see the surface-level version of their bond, but reports suggest Eugenie and Meghan were genuinely close. In Omid Scobie's book Finding Freedom, Eugenie reportedly described Meghan as just the tonic for Harry. And that says a lot about how tight things really were. It didn't stop there either. The two couples spent real time together. Double dates, private trips, even that Lake Como getaway with the Clooneys. That wasn't just formal royal behavior. It looked like a real friendship forming behind closed doors.
Eugenie not only went to the Super Bowl with him, we've seen her in Montecito with her husband having dinner with Harry and Meghan. Eugenie lived in Frogmore Cottage amongst their things, amongst Meghan.
Then things took another turn in 2020, when Harry and Meghan made that move to California. And that's where the dynamics started shifting in a way people didn't fully catch at the time. This is where things start to connect in a way most people didn't notice at first. Princess Eugenie and her husband, Jack Brooksbank, actually moved into Frogmore Cottage, the same home Harry and Meghan had renovated with millions in taxpayer money. And this wasn't some quiet moment either. It happened during one of the most chaotic periods in modern royal history. Now here's the detail that flips everything. Eugenie's mother is Sarah Ferguson. That link matters more than it seems, because Meghan and Eugenie's bond reportedly formed when Meghan was still trying to find her place inside the royal system.
I believe that Andrew and Meghan have crossed paths. Meghan was friends and going on holidays with Epstein's girlfriend. There's no way that you can't tell me Meghan wouldn't have got an invite through some of her friends to attend the big lavish parties that Epstein was known for throwing with lots of girls, some professionals, some not, some models, some D-list cable TV actresses desperate.
It was a tense time, constant pressure, non-stop attention. And according to multiple reports, Eugenie became someone Meghan felt she could actually open up to. Those conversations weren't surface level either. Sources claim Meghan shared personal frustrations, private thoughts about palace life, and details about difficult moments happening behind closed doors. The kind of things you only say when you think you're speaking in a safe, trusted space. But here's where it gets complicated, because those private talks may not have stayed as contained as expected. Tom Sykes from the Daily Beast described Sarah Ferguson's situation in very direct terms. Completely cast out, no official royal role, no public funding, and barely any protection as pressure around the York family kept building. In one brutal stretch, she was left dealing with everything on her own. Reports say 7 charities cut ties with her in a single week after past associations resurfaced, including her connection to Jeffrey Epstein, someone she had once called her supreme friend. That alone brought intense backlash.
Jeffrey looks very forward to hosting dinner on November 30th at 8 p.m. at Martin Novak's Institute located at 1 Brattle Square, Suite 6. Please have the guests call or Corinna on their cell as the guest approaches the Institute so they can come down and let them in. Thank you, Leslie, assistant to Jeffrey.
At the same time, Prince Andrew lost his royal titles and faced heavy scrutiny over serious allegations tied to his past. Financially and publicly, the situation around the family started looking unstable and messy. Some of Ferguson's business ventures reportedly collapsed, and there are claims that debts are still lingering behind the scenes. Her public appearances have also been rare lately, which only added more speculation. There were even reports saying she spent weeks at Paracelsus Recovery in Switzerland, a high-end wellness clinic where prices can reach around $17,000 per night. That's not a typical retreat. It's the kind of place people turn to when things get overwhelming fast.
From a £13,000 a night Zurich wellness retreat to a spa hotel, a VIP spa hotel in Ireland. She's been to the Middle East begging for money. She's got no economic options left. No one's giving her money.
Other sources claim she's been moving between borrowed villas, private estates, and luxury retreats, while people close to her quietly admit she's under serious financial pressure. And if there's one thing history shows, it's that she doesn't stay silent when she has something to say. Back in 1996, right after her divorce from Prince Andrew, Ferguson released her memoir, My Story. One moment from that book stood out. She wrote about borrowing Princess Diana's shoes, then later discovering she had developed plantar warts. Reports say that detail deeply upset Diana, and their friendship never fully recovered after that. They never reconciled before Diana passed away, and that moment still gets brought up as an example of how revealing personal stories can have lasting consequences. This is the part that really shows how far this could go. Ferguson has already proven she's not afraid to say things that make the palace uncomfortable. That one moment from her past memoir made it clear she's willing to put sensitive details out there, no matter who it affects. And now, the situation around her looks just as intense. Radar Online reported that Princess Eugenie has been preparing a room for her mother at her oceanfront villa in Portugal, a property estimated at around $4.7 million. That alone suggests something bigger could be happening behind the scenes. At the same time, Prince Andrew is reportedly spending most of his time at Royal Lodge, keeping a low profile and still frustrated over losing his titles. When you look at the full picture, it feels unstable. A family surrounded by controversy, a mother possibly planning a revealing memoir, and a daughter trying to stay loyal while her own position remains uncertain.
I'm not sure how far Fergie would go. Perhaps Meghan and Andrew have crossed paths. I mean, it's something that I'm not sure will even come to light. I mean, it's highly suspicious given the circles that Andrew and Meghan have obviously floated in. You know, we have photographic evidence of Meghan hanging around with friends of, you know, who Andrew did, the Epstein.
One friend of Ferguson told OK Magazine that a fully honest book could reveal where the bodies are buried inside the royal family. Those were the exact words used. And another source made it clear this may not just be about telling her side, Money could be a major driving force too. After dealing with serious health issues, becoming a grandmother, and watching her role within the royal world shift so quickly, her current reality looks very different from the life she once had. And the way the palace is reacting right now shows they may be taking this threat very seriously. According to In Touch Weekly, some members of the royal household have even discussed possible legal action against Sarah Ferguson, trying to stop a tell-all before it even begins. Just think about that. Legal concerns over a book that hasn't even been written yet. That kind of reaction says a lot. It suggests insiders are genuinely worried about what could come out if she decides to speak openly without holding anything back.
She has secrets, and her financial desperation takes her to dark places, cash for access. So I do believe that the Sussexes could and should be worried about this new development.
The report also claims Prince William has already started creating distance from parts of the York side of the family. Sources say Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie have quietly been left out of certain royal events, including Royal Ascot, which definitely raises eyebrows. There are also claims that family members have been advised to keep appearances involving them more limited, adding even more distance in public view. Royal biographer Andrew Lowney added another strong opinion while speaking to the Daily Express. He suggested the princesses might eventually have to give up their titles altogether. He even pointed out that Beatrice is now legally known as Mrs. Edoardo Mapelli Mozzi, implying that without royal status, public attention around her could drop fast. It's a tough take, but it highlights just how much the York family's position has shifted over the years. And this is exactly where the Meghan Markle angle suddenly becomes impossible to ignore.
We all know that they behave badly. We all know that they treated staff badly. We all know that Meghan definitely bullied everybody and anybody that she could, whether it be the Queen's chefs, the gardeners, Catherine and William's nanny, the Queen's dresser. I mean, Meghan really was a force when she joined that family of just the
Here's the question that changes everything. If Beatrice and Eugenie ever lost their titles or official roles, what would actually be left holding them back? What reason would they have to stay quiet about anything from the past? For years, the palace's biggest leverage over the York family has reportedly been status and reputation, but that only works if there's still something to protect. Once that starts slipping away, the whole dynamic can flip fast. Sarah Ferguson has already lost her formal royal position, along with much of her public standing and several charity roles. On top of that, Prince Andrew's situation brought intense scrutiny onto the entire family. The pressure hasn't eased. If anything, it's been building. Now imagine this. If Princess Eugenie's role inside the royal structure keeps shrinking too, the balance of power around that family could shift in a major way. And that's exactly why some royal watchers think Meghan Markle might be watching Ferguson's next move very closely. Because if a memoir actually happens, it likely won't just be surface-level stories. It could reopen some of the biggest royal controversies people thought were already settled. One of the most talked about examples is the bridesmaid dress situation before Harry and Meghan's wedding. Meghan said in the Oprah interview that the exchange with Kate left her in tears. That version of events spread everywhere fast.
You have been lied about for a series of years, how hurtful that is. So imagine that for over a period of months and years, and you know that it isn't true.
But other royal writers, including Valentine Lowe, have shared claims from palace staff suggesting the situation may have played out differently behind the scenes. The palace reportedly looked into it internally, but the full findings were never made public. And here's where the timeline gets interesting. During those wedding preparations, Eugenie was moving in the same circle as the bridal party. She wasn't distant. She was actually one of Meghan's closest connections inside the royal family at that exact time. That matters more than it seems, because friendships like that usually involve private conversations no one else hears.
Who was Virginia Giuffre's attorney, wanted Meghan Markle to give evidence in the civil trial, saying that there were things about Andrew that she knew.
The kind that stay completely off record. If Meghan spoke honestly about what really happened during that dress fitting, Eugenie is likely someone she would have confided in, and if those conversations were later shared with her mother, that creates a whole different layer, because suddenly, Sarah Ferguson could be holding insight no royal biographer has ever had. Secondhand details from someone Meghan actually trusted during that moment. And if that version doesn't match what the public heard during the Oprah interview, it could reopen the entire debate in a big way. Then there's another issue that already caused serious headlines: the bullying allegations from 2018. Palace staff filed a formal complaint, raising concerns about difficult workplace behavior during Meghan's time as a working royal. Reports said Jason Knopf, who served as communications secretary for the Sussex household, submitted that complaint internally, and that situation never fully faded from public attention. Here's where things get even more sensitive. The palace did carry out a review into those allegations, but the results were never made public. And the Sussexes strongly denied everything from the start, making the whole situation even more divided. At that same time, Princess Eugenie was still closely connected to that royal environment. She was in a unique spot. Close enough to Meghan to hear her personal side, but also close enough to the institution to hear what staff were saying behind the scenes. That kind of position comes with access to both versions of the same story. And that's what makes this complicated, because whatever was said in those private conversations doesn't just disappear. Those details could still sit in memory, especially if they were shared within family circles. And if those stories reach Sarah Ferguson, they don't just vanish, they stay there, waiting for the right moment.
What I would say about that, I think it's very important to shift this idea that play the opposite and make sure you can be taken seriously. My point in all of this is that no matter what you look like, you should be taken seriously.
Then there's the timeline around Harry and Meghan stepping back from royal duties, what many call Megxit. Publicly, it was presented as a last resort after feeling unsupported and overwhelmed by media pressure. That was the official narrative, but some insiders have suggested something different. That conversations about stepping away may have started much earlier than people realized. Even Finding Freedom mentioned early discussions about leaving royal life, which adds another layer to the timeline. Now think about this. If Meghan was talking privately with Eugenie about those plans during 2019, well before the public announcement, that changes how the story could be told. Because suddenly, it doesn't look like a sudden decision anymore. It starts to look more strategic. And if a memoir ever frames it that way, it could completely shift how people see the entire situation, especially in places like the United States where the story gained massive attention. Then there's another connection that often gets overlooked: Soho House.
Free Epstein was also Harvey Weinstein, very prominent. There were members. Meghan Markle was just one of the working girls for Soho House. Call girl, working girl.
Long before Harry entered the picture, Meghan and Eugenie reportedly moved in similar social circles linked to Soho House in London. Marcus Anderson, a known figure within that network, was even credited with helping set up Meghan and Harry's first meeting. That connection alone ties multiple pieces together. Those same elite circles from around 2013 to 2016 have recently come under renewed media attention, especially as broader conversations about influential networks and powerful connections continue to grow.
No, so there is a good chance that Meghan does know something about Andrew, because she never said anything, Harry never said anything with all of their attacks, and it makes you think, why? Why did they protect Andrew? And it might be because Andrew could have fired back and said that he does in fact know Meghan. You know, it could be a real tit-for-tat moment for...
To be clear, there are no claims of wrongdoing here, but people are asking questions. Who knew who? When did certain friendships really begin? And what was being said in private spaces away from public view? Those are exactly the kinds of details that a memoir could dive into. And once something like that is written, published, and pushed into the spotlight, it becomes incredibly difficult to undo. That's why some commentators believe a potential Ferguson memoir wouldn't just tell a story. It could challenge parts of the Sussex narrative from multiple angles all at once. This isn't just about rumors floating around. This is about real moments from inside royal life that helped shape how the public sees everything today. And the second someone close to those moments tells a different version, it instantly creates a whole new narrative.
You know, what they're ultimately scared of with a Fergie book is alternative versions of events coming out. Since Harry and Meghan have moved here, they've monetized their version of events, not necessarily the truth, but their truth through Spotify, Netflix, and Harry's book.
That's exactly why some reports say the Sussex side could be feeling uneasy, because this wouldn't be random talk. It would be a second account tied to someone who had access to private conversations long before they ever reached interviews or best-selling books. Think about that for a second. The same couple who reportedly secured massive deals for Spare could suddenly face another book entering the spotlight, written by the mother of someone who was hearing Meghan's side of events years earlier. Now here's the twist that recently came out. Several US publishers reportedly turned down Ferguson's early memoir pitch, which was valued at around $2 million. Meanwhile, Prince Harry's Spare reportedly landed advances close to $20 million. Ferguson was aiming higher, somewhere near $11 million. And that gap says a lot. Because it might not be the story that's the issue, it could just be the price tag attached to it. And when someone under financial pressure comes back with a lower number and a manuscript filled with insider royal details, everything can change very quickly. Just imagine the headlines if a future chapter claimed to reveal what really happened during the bridesmaid dress situation, or described private conversations about Kate, or even laid out when early discussions about stepping back from royal duties actually began. Those kinds of claims wouldn't stay quiet. They would take over the entire news cycle almost instantly. And that's why some observers believe Sarah Ferguson could become a surprisingly powerful voice in the wider Sussex story, not because she holds official power anymore, but because of her connection to someone who was incredibly close to Meghan at a key moment in time. Princess Eugenie lived in Meghan's former home, moved in the same circles, and reportedly shared a genuine friendship with her, all before the world ever heard the Sussex version of events. And history shows something interesting. Sometimes the people with the least to lose end up speaking the loudest when everything finally comes out. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe and stay locked in for what comes next.